In 2000, we bought an abandoned 100-acre farm in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. We spent years cleaning it up, built a new house, and now are trying to make it a functional homestead farm. Welcome to Red Tool House.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Red Tool House. We appreciate everybody checking us out. This time we wanted to do a discussion about tools. It'll be different for every homestead, but I wanted to list my top 5 tools. This is kind of tough when I sit down to say, okay, what am I going to choose for my top 5? Definitely a lot of different options there, so I was kind of torn. And actually, I think we're going to end up with 6. I'm breaking my own rules starting out. But we'll get into that here in a second. First of all, I wanted to talk about our drawing. I neglected to draw last week's video for our prize winner for February. So I've done that, and I want to congratulate Rick Kussig. I believe that's the proper pronunciation. I have no clue if that's the proper pronunciation of your name, Rick, and I apologize if I've just murdered it. But Rick Kussig, I believe he is in Illinois. So we appreciate you playing along. We'll obviously get a hold of you and get your hand size so we can send you the gloves. And we appreciate that. And our gift for March, for our March drawing, is going to be a StormTech flashlight. And I believe this is a 120 lumen light. And this is a very bright flashlight. It's a nice, compact, tactical flashlight. I use it constantly. I have a bunch of them. I've given one away already in another contest. So that'll be March's gift, is the flashlight. I always feel you can never have enough flashlights. Well, like I mentioned, the focus of this video is to talk about tools. We're going to talk about my top 5. Now, they may not be your top 5, and you may think I'm crazy. That wouldn't be the first time. But we'll dive right in. The tool that I find most useful and most helpful on the homestead is actually one of my oldest tools. It is my rusty trusty chainsaw. This is a Stihl Farm Boss 029. This chainsaw I bought in 2000 when we first got the property. It has been through the ringer. It's got a busted handle. It's missing some bolts here and there, cracked air cleaner. Gone through countless chains and bars, more than I can imagine. But that thing has been an absolute tank. In fact, I do believe it has the original spark plug in it. I don't think I've ever changed the spark plug, which kind of shows you what my maintenance regimen is around here. But this thing has been invaluable. Love it. In fact, I'm dreading replacing it. It's, like I said, it's due to be replaced. I'm dreading replacing it simply because I understand Stihl is not as solid as it used to be. So I may have to even shop around and look at Husky and some of those other guys. But I hate to part with my baby. It's been a good one. Now, chainsaw may not be as useful for you on your homestead if you don't have as much woodland to deal with as we do. But this thing, as we clear land, again, we're trying to clear land as we head west and up the valley, and that's really requiring a real heavy duty, a good, reliable chainsaw. And again, yeah, if you want to go out there, it's crazy how expensive these things are getting. I think I paid $3.50 for this, $350 US for this when I bought it in 2000. And it's my understanding a comparable model now is probably over 500, maybe even more. They've changed all the model numbers. It doesn't make sense now to me. So you're definitely handy to have, but there's some start out chainsaws that you can start with that you don't have to invest that much. You definitely get what you pay for in those situations. Smaller engines, less ability to do the work you want to do if you're going to do something heavy duty, and then of course tend not to last as long. I know Poulan is kind of an entry level chainsaw. I don't even know if they still make them, but those are kind of the entry level. In fact, my buddy Doug, I have to give him a shout out. I think he does watch the videos sometimes, but he finally got rid of his purple Poulan Wild Thing chainsaw. So way to man up, Doug. It's nice that you've moved on to a real chainsaw. He'll appreciate that. Again, very handy tool. Love it. It does a lot of work around here and definitely earns its keep. It was a very good investment for us. Well, one of the most useful tools on the homestead, of course, is my tractor. And I find it's very, very useful with obviously moving things in bulk. With the front bucket, it makes it really nice to be able to move things around, whether it's feed or gravel or sand or dirt or mud, pig poop, whatever. The bucket really comes in handy. So back when we first got this, I didn't have a car payment, but I had a tractor payment. It's obviously a substantial investment to buy something like this, but it's definitely worthwhile. Now, I'm not saying that every homestead should have a tractor. Your homestead may not be big enough, or you just may not justify the expense, or there may be other reasons why you don't want a tractor. But if you do, look at some opportunities there. Obviously, a lot of used equipment out there that you can get a really good deal on some used tractors, and there's some that have been around forever, real old, rock solid. You think about the Ford 8N, been around forever, and people still use them constantly. But we really wanted to make this investment. And when I first started out, though, I had a wheelbarrow, I had a small four-wheeler, and I had a lawnmower with a little garden wagon to pull behind it. So being able to move things around in bulk is very handy. Obviously, you start with a wheelbarrow and maybe eventually get to a tractor if you can justify that expense at some point. But really handy to have, very useful. Use it for a lot of things on the homestead. See ya. Okay, this may technically not be a tool, but it definitely is on my list. In fact, it's kind of the, we always say it's the quintessential ID for a homesteader or farmers if you see one of these around. This is an IBC Tote. And it's basically just a plastic tank in a cage. I figure most people watching our videos know what these are, so I won't get into details about it. But just a plastic tank, 250 gallon, 275. I've seen 500 gallon IBCs. There's different sizes you can get. But this thing is just really handy in the fact that it'll hold 250 gallons of liquid, of course. But they're really, really inexpensive. You can find them everywhere usually, and if you're frugal and you look around, you can find them for less than $100. I've been able to get them for there's my pencil. It's like the Globetrotters or Fat Albert pulling stuff out of my hair. I've been able to find these totes for less than $100, sometimes $80 if you buy more than one. Sometimes you even get a better deal than that. So they're great to have. So of course the $25,000 question is, well, what are you doing with the IBC tote? I probably should put that back on, not scare you guys anymore. Right now, where this configuration is, you may say, Troy, your IBC tote has a bit of a gangster lean. Yes, it does. We're in West Virginia. Everything has a gangster lean. Now, I had this set at the top of the driveway. Where we are right now, we're close to the house. The barn, the wood shop, the freezer, all that stuff that we're building is down there. About an elevation drop of about 90 to 100 feet. So what I was doing is when we were doing concrete work, I don't have pressurized water down at the wood shop. Our well pump went bad in the well a long time ago. I haven't replaced it yet. With the stream, the pigs can get access to water, so I've never really had an issue with water down there. But we're doing concrete work down there, mixing our own concrete, so of course you need water. So what we did with the IBC tote is I set it right here, and then I can fill it up from the well at the house without any problem, and just run a hose down the hill to the concrete mixer. Well, the neat thing about that, man, you put 250 gallons of water, you have a relief of 100 feet in going from a 250 gallon tank to a 3/4 inch water hose. You got some pretty good head pressure. So we had all the water pressure we needed there. It was great to do the concrete work. So this is the application for it. Now, the neat thing about them, of course, they're very portable. You can move them easily. I can toss this one in the back of the side-by-side when it's empty and take it wherever I need to. And what we'll document in future videos, obviously as this gets warmer, is I use this during the growing season to irrigate our blueberry patch. We have a small field of blueberries that we've created, that we've planted, and I put this on the hill above the blueberries, and I have a buried irrigation system going through the blueberry plants. And this obviously feeds the water to that. So really handy to have. It's one of those things I keep an eye out for them. If I can find a deal, like I was bidding on one that had the corner dented in the cage. Well, the cage isn't that critical to me as far as aesthetics. As long as the tank isn't leaking and it still holds water, then the cage is what it is. The purpose of the cage, of course, is these plastic tanks are not thick enough, they're not rigid enough to hold water and be durable without the cage around. So the cage just gives it rigidity and strength. If you get an IBC tote, the one thing you want to make sure you get, I think it has a 2-inch or 2 1/4 inch nozzle opening. If you go on Amazon, you can find the adapter that goes from from the IBC opening down to the garden hose attachment. They're like $4, I believe. And if I can remember, I'll post that link in my show notes. So yeah, really handy to have. It's funny, you drive around, I've seen people take these and they'll cut the cage off and they'll cut the top and they'll make trash bins out of them to set on the curb when they want to put their trash out. I've seen all kinds of different uses. People do aquaponic systems with these things. One thing you got to watch when you're buying, if you're going to use this for watering your livestock or something something that an animal is going to consume, or even yourself for that matter, if for some reason you're going to consume water from this, make sure when you buy the IBC tote that you're getting a food grade versus a commercial grade, because sometimes I've seen them haul vegetable oil in this, which is fine, food grade, but then I've also seen them haul some pretty nasty chemicals in these things. So make sure when you're getting it, you know the source. You don't want something that's been carrying some sort of harsh chemical that you're going to feed to your animals, and that residue would still remain there. So definitely check that out. But these things are great. Love an IBC tote. Well, something else that made my top 5 tools for the homestead was actually kind of 2 tools, but kind of the same classification, same genre, if you will, of use. And that is the pressure canner and the deep freezer. And now, obviously, 2 completely different tools, but they both preserve food for you. Now, a pressure canner, I won't drag it out because obviously it's middle of the winter and we're not canning anything this time of year. But a pressure canner you can do so much with as far as preservation goes. And the neat thing about that, of course, is storing in a cool area, cellar, basement, closet, whatever. If you've got canned goods that you've pressure canned, whether it's vegetables, whether it's meat, then you've got some storage there that's going to last a long time. And we've had some canned goods that have lasted years. I can recall even with my living at home with my folks that they would can. Mom canned constantly, and we could have vegetables that were quite a few years old, and even you'd see a little bit, because she'd keep them in the cellar, you even see a little rust forming along the lid, but still, good quality stuff. And she would always have a big garden and can a lot, and it was great having that all year round. Really good way to preserve food where you don't need power afterwards to maintain it. Obviously with the freezer is handy because you can just take your meat, your vegetables, whatever, and you can toss it in the freezer, and it preserves it better. Well, that's kind of a wrong statement. It preserves it as it was put in. You think of a canner is going to affect the flavor, the consistency, those type of things, because it's basically being cooked. But you go to your garden, you take a bunch of green peppers that you've harvested, you chop it up and put it in your freezer, and you get it out in a month or 2, and it's just like a regular pepper. So that's the benefit of the freezer. Obviously, the downside to a freezer is it has to have power constantly. So for you guys that are off-grid, while there's solar systems that can run off-grid freezers, or you've got the propane freezers, those type of options, obviously you got to keep an eye on that. You get spoilage if your freezer's not working, and you're obviously not freezing your food. So to me, those 2 things are invaluable. The canner, I think, to me, on the homesteading side, I like going that direction. Canning meat, which is, I wouldn't say it's controversial, but it's just something you need to keep an eye out on. Some people say, don't do it. Other people do it constantly. And I don't have a problem with canning meat as long as you kind of keep an eye on what you're doing there. But what a great tool, what a great homesteading tool to have to preserve the hard work you've put into in your garden in the summertime. But then, of course, even the fall when you're hunting or you're harvesting, or you've raised pigs, or you've raised cattle, you've raised goats, and you want to be able to preserve that meat. And there's other neat ways of preservation of meat that we'll get into other than just canning, of course. But a pressure canner is a handy tool to have. It's usually cheaper than a freezer as well. Practical, very practical tool. If you have livestock and you're intimately familiar with what these are, these T-posts, then you'll probably agree with me 100% on this next selection. T-posts, of course, are very handy, a very inexpensive way to establish a fence line. Obviously, they're different lengths. This is a 6-footer. But very difficult to drive in the ground, especially in West Virginia, where we've got a lot of rock and clay and just hard packed soil. You can sit here with a sledgehammer and try to do that. If you think you're John Henry, you can maybe drive that in. But the thing you need to do is to get a fence post driver. That's what this is. You can buy one, or you can make your own. I've seen guys make them out of weld casing, weld some handles on it if you're good with a welder. Save some money there, but not too expensive. My dad painted racing stripes on mine to make it go faster. Doesn't seem to work too well. Actually, no, he painted it on there so when I leave it in the grass, I can see it, because I tend to leave things laying around. And it's fun to hit one of these with a bush hog. So the neat thing about these, of course, you can drive them in. I strongly recommend gloves, and if you have too many fence posts to do, earplugs, because you'll absolutely go deaf driving these things in. But the neat thing it does is just... So you can see there with a couple strokes, I've got that fence post set down to the tines there where I'd like to set the depth, and really, really handy tool. Like I said, you can get these at any tractor supply store, Rural King, whatever your local farm supply store is. If you can keep from ordering it and having it shipped, because the shipping is going to be a little high on that, as heavy as it is. But really a handy tool to have. One thing I'm going to tell you is to watch out for is they make one of these things that have a spring inside of it. So when you're beating down, you're actually compressing a spring. I don't know what mad manufacturer came up with that, because that thing is not very effective at all. It seems counterintuitive. In fact, you kind of hammer down on it and it wants to shoot up in the air. So for some reason, I'm not sure. Maybe I'm just ignorant. I don't know how to use it properly, but that one is not fun to use. The thing you got to watch with this, and if my brother was here, he could regale you in this story, is when you're when you're coming up for your stroke here, make sure you don't come up too high. Catch the lip of the T-post, because your downward force, what he did is he caught the lip. I think he caught it on the backside, and it caused it to come down, and he cracked himself right in the top of the head with that thing. And he said he saw the cartoon birds, and he hit the ground, and it about knocked him slap out. So you got to watch that. Don't bring it up too high. So this is another great tool to use there. Looks like the pigs have been drinking on the... Did we have a party and I missed it? Got to watch these breed. A certain breed of pig will turn on you. That looks like that had some good whiskey in it at one time. That's the beauty of living on an old abandoned farm. You find treasures from the last group of people here. So pigs tend to unearth everything. Well, another tool that I find useful on the Homestead is actually a little bit controversial tool. Some of the people that watch our video aren't in the United States. They may find this a little offensive or not truly understand why we Americans have such a fetish for this tool, but it's very useful. I find myself using it quite a bit, and it is very multi-purposed, multifunctional. It is obviously a gun. Now this is my Glock 19, which I really like this gun. Very well balanced, very good handgun to carry, whether I carry it on the homestead, if I'm on the back of the property and need a little protection there if we've got some coyote issues or those type of things. But it also conceals nicely, so I can carry that. That's what I love about our state. The state of West Virginia has some issues, but it is a pro-Second Amendment state. We can carry a sidearm concealed without a permit, without a license. You just have to have knowledgeable use of a firearm, so that's cool. So this is a great gun, and again, I don't mean to be controversial, but very handy to have. Personal protection is the obvious use for something like this, whether it's protecting your home from intruders, protecting your livestock from predators out there. Got to be close range, obviously, to take out a predator with this, but yeah, these things come in handy. Just like any other tool, guns come in multiple shapes and sizes and have different purposes as far as tools go. So another option is the shotgun. This is my M590A1. This is a great shotgun. Now this wouldn't necessarily be a hunter shotgun. It's more of a personal defense type shotgun. Really fun to shoot clays with because tough to miss. But I have a couple other shotguns that are useful for game hunting, turkey hunting, grouse hunting, squirrel hunting, those type of things. Various calibers. This is a 12 gauge. But again, very, very useful tool. Love a good shotgun. I think every homestead should have a shotgun. Shotguns and the concept similar to this goes back way back to frontier days in our country. So love having a good shotgun. Well, another good option, another good tool in the tool bag to have is a rifle. Now this is my deer rifle. This is an Enfield 308. This is a nice gun. It weighs quite a bit. It's a heavy rifle, but it is flawless. This is a British Enfield. Just put a conversion kit on it, a little updated stock and those type of things. But what a great gun! 308 caliber, really good deer hunting rifle. Very solid, lasts a long time, and this is one of those guns you could throw in the mud and pick it up and use it again. It just is pretty much bulletproof. Love it. Good gun. Well, before you all think I'm crazy and some sort of lunatic when it comes to firearms, I'll stop with this one. But this is one of my favorites. This is the Kalashnikov, the AK-47. And this gun, when you get into these type of things, the dirty word around the country, around the world, is assault rifle, and this thing has not assaulted anyone since I've had it. So, but the thing about this gun, obviously the practicality scale, I'll be the first to admit, it starts to decrease a little bit when you have something like this. This gun is just extremely fun to shoot. It has a high capacity mag. I think this is my 30 round mag. I've got a 40 round, just in case you run into 40 coyotes on the back of the property, then you're prepared. No, it's just a really good shooting gun, very accurate. Again, another one of those guns that you can throw in the mud and pick back up and use and not have to worry. I have a couple other rifles in this class that you have to hold their hand a little bit. They're a little more dainty when it comes to how you use them and keeping them clean and that type of thing. So again, and the other neat thing about this gun is if you don't have a practical use for it, at least you can recreate some of your favorite movie scenes. Wolverines! Well, again, the whole point of this was not to go through and show everyone what kind of crazy gun hoarder I am. Just talking about tools, I think having a firearm on a homestead is important. And again, if you're intimidated by it, you don't like them, then obviously just don't put it in your toolbox. But just like any other tool, just like you've got multiple screwdrivers, multiple wrenches, multiple tools like that, that's my approach to guns, that there's a practical purpose for all of them. Some, again, like this, tend to get a little less practical, but well, I hope this isn't too offensive for people. Again, I know not everyone understands and appreciates a good firearm, and if you're offended, I apologize. It's not my intent to polarize people that watch our videos, but the intent of the video, of course, is to kind of give you a glimpse into our lives, and if you're interested, then you watch and kind of see what we've got going on. So this is one of the things, again, just a handy tool. The shotgun, the deer rifle, the pistol, any other firearms that I may have are very beneficial. They serve a purpose. Some of them are more recreational. Some of them are more specific for a tool. If I go hunting, then I'm definitely going to grab the 308. If there's a coyote issue or something, and I know that there's something in my barn, a predator, then I may grab the pistol or the shotgun. So there's a specific tool when it's time to do a specific job. Well, here we are again with another creepy nighttime lighting shot. Seems to be the MO this time of year. But I hope you guys found those tool lists useful. Again, different for each homestead. But I'd be curious to hear if you all have any recommendations as well, or what you use on the homestead to make things easier. Feel free to use the comments below to do that. Speaking of comments, we got some comments on our last video from our pig farrowing, and I'd like to address those. The first one is from Hyder Enterprises. Will you castrate the boys? I've learned that they can be pretty stinky in the meat if not snipped. Any truth to that? Hyder Enterprises, yes, you're referring to what's called boar taint. And I don't know the deep biological background to that, but yes, if you don't castrate the boars, then there's a good chance as they grow up and they go through puberty, I guess would be the proper term, or maybe not the proper term, but as they mature and those hormones get rolling, then it's my understanding that there's a percentage of people that can pick up on that smell, that hormone actually infuses in the meat, and that certain people have a genetic propensity to really pick up on that, or some are stronger, some boars are stronger than others. We don't risk that at all. Obviously, the last thing I want is somebody buying a lot of pork off of me and saying, man, this stuff smells like a dead animal. And I hear that's kind of the smell. It's a very strong, pungent odor. So we just circumvent that opportunity. We castrate every boar. So yes, in fact, probably if we can pull it off, castration will actually be this next week. As I'm recording this closing, it's a Thursday. So next week we'll be castrating. I'm going to try to video that. I've tried to video the last 2 castrations. First time my camera wasn't working very well. And the second time we just had a narrow window and I couldn't get my stuff set up. So castration's really fun. It's earplugs and scalpels and all kinds of good stuff. So we'll try to get that on video because I think you all would enjoy seeing me run around and dodging the sows as I come grab their babies and give them the old snip. So we'll hopefully address that. So appreciate that comment and hope that answers your question. Also, I had Brett Disher. Could you make a video on how you take care of your sows? I would like to know how you feed them. Is it something like 5 pounds a day when not pregnant, 8 pounds when they are, and 16 ounces or 16 once they're nursing? Yeah, Brett, that sounds like a great topic. We can address that. We can get into that video. I'll put that in the rotation there. And yeah, feed ration, I don't go to the extreme of weighing stuff out. I do everything by 5-gallon buckets. It's just kind of the habit I've gotten into. So I fill up a 5-gallon bucket and ration that appropriately. I think looking back in hindsight, I think one of my sows was actually a little overweight when she fared. That may have been some of the problems that she had. So I would probably want to dose her a little bit less if I was going to breed her again. But I don't think I'm going to breed her again. I think she's going to be retired. But yeah, we'll put that on the list, the video, how we ration our sows, how we feed our pigs that are going to market, and how we address that. Kind of touched upon that a little bit as far as total amount of feed as it goes out in the video on how to raise pastured hogs for make money raising pastured pork. Okay, the next question and comment was from Kevin Pitts. And Kevin writes, I sure do appreciate all the great content, and your channel is one that I've learned the most about pasturing pigs and AI. I really hope to do it myself soon, as my brother has 10 acres that should work well. So you said the 18 you had will be what you'll raise this go around, is that correct? And I would love to see a video on how you market your pork and find your customers for pre-sale and all. Or have you already made a video of that? Thanks for what you do. Obviously I can't read very well. No, Kevin, another good video suggestion there. Yeah, we're going to finish what we have. Now, in that last video we had 18, we're now down to 16. We've had 2 crush. 2 additional that were crushed, so kind of a drag. So yeah, as we speak today, we're down to 16. So we're going to finish what's left. We'll just see what makes it, what doesn't get crushed, and what makes it. We'll finish those. I may select a breeder out of those, so I may not actually butcher all 16 or what's left. I may select one of the gilts. Look for good confirmation and other things, and may rotate her in as a breeder, and again retire one of my other sows. But yeah, a video on marketing. Marketing. I hesitate getting too deep into marketing a video because I don't want to put everybody asleep. But that is one of my passions as well as homesteading is marketing, and I can't say that I'm a master at marketing pastured pork. But I do have some experience in that, and then obviously we've built a decent customer base, so I would be more than happy to share that insight, and I'll put that in my list of video topics as well. So appreciate that input. Well, that about wraps it up. I've got feed to unload. The reason why I'm standing down here in the dark is my truck has 750 pounds of feed, so I'm gonna put that in the locker, and you can kind of hear somebody behind me is trying to sleep, and I'm yapping over here and waking her up. So she's she's eyeballing me pretty good there. So again, we appreciate everybody watching the videos, and we just encourage you to please leave comments, give us a thumbs up. Again, that helps. Subscribe. If you want to get notices of, YouTube's going to change things around a little bit. If you want to get notices of when new videos hit, we're going to try to hit every Friday evening. But if you want to get a notice, there should be a little bell reminder when you come to our homepage on YouTube next to the subscribe link. If you click that, you can just select to get notifications, and that can send you a push notification on your mobile, or that can send you an email to say, hey, Red Tool House has a new video out. So if you want to get notified when that happens, just choose that option there. So again, we appreciate everybody watching. Check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/Red Tool House Farm, and be sure to check out our website, redtoolhouse.com. And don't forget, if you sign up for the newsletter, we're going to do a drawing. We're going to have the StormTech flashlight this month. All right, take care.